right, boys and girls. I've said this twice already today. The weekend has started, but look who we are. It's a nightcap. Yes, my notifications are on. I'm a jerk ass. So let me turn that crap off because we all know, Mr. AJP, I'm not that bright. So, we are doing a nightcap on a Friday evening, the third of 3 interviews. And look who we got, boys and girls. This is Stir the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, AJP, AJ Phoenix. What's up, my man?
What's up, man? How are you? I'm just enjoying life, man. I know you talked to my friend Jamie Tucker earlier, my fellow young gun. I didn't get to see it. I don't know if it's up or anything. I don't know if these go up right away or anything like that because, all I do is work. I don't really look on Facebook too much. But no, I'm very excited for this. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I know we tried to schedule it a couple different times, but hey, that's wrestling,
Hey, wrestling. Yes, that's definitely wrestling. Now, Mr. Jamie Tucker, I did talk. It's already set up on YouTube. I got it on a lock. As soon as I'm done here, I got my second one uploading as we're speaking right now. I turned that shit right over, my friend. Yeah.
Multitasking.
Yeah. I don't do the Kokana. I'm not a Kokana type person, but I get my shit done, okay?
Oh, man, you're great.
Now, AJP, I would love to start off with that smile, not used to seeing. You're usually pissed off when I'm over around, kind of little angry face. We boo you, you boo us kind of thing. We have a great relationship at the shows.
I don't think you've been around for a while then. I've been a bit of a good guy lately.
I know. I haven't come back, and that's my point. I haven't been around.
Fake friend.
Yeah. I do follow, though. I do follow. Now, my point being is that smile that you're giving us, the fans, is beautiful. I'm not used to seeing that. This is a different side from one AJP. Yeah. Now, you're up at the Chop Shop, the Rhode Island area, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now,
primarily, there's that and the event center as well.
The event center. Love XWA. Beautiful shirt, by the way. Look at that thing.
Thank you.
If us, the fans, would like one of those, where do we get those things?
Currently, I have a Teespring store. I believe it's teespring.com/the-notorious-AJP. Yeah, it's the dash notorious dash AJP. Something along those lines. I want to get a pro wrestling tees store set up in the near future. So it'll probably get transitioned over there eventually. But that'll be on my Facebook and my Instagram.
If it costs less than, $70, I'll grab me one of those because I got to get me some AJP gear, some merch.
Yeah, you do.
So we spoke of Jamie Tucker, good friend of yours. We're going to kind of dive into that a little bit later on because this, my friend, this is about AJP. And we've never really gotten to sit down and kind of talk a little bit. I've done a promo with you, even though as young as you are, I was kind of scared of approaching you. You set off a vibe. You keep that kayfabe, if you will. I don't like to use the words much, but you keep that kayfabe alive. And that was one of the things that really grasped me to you as a character. And we love to talk character on Stirring the Pot. Oh, boy, do we. And now, where I'd like to start is you, my friend, along. And we're going to talk about this kid later because if I don't, he's kind of pushy. This Coach C that's in the scene. I know. I'm sorry I brought him up. No, we're not going to start. No. We're not going to start here because where I want to go is the age. You are a very young man in the industry, and I know you're not the same age now, but man, your upcomings, I've seen you for a couple years now, and I'm telling you, I forget you're so damn young. You're not even of sipping age right now, my friend. Holy shit.
Well, I'm not of age, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I've been around that time too. Believe me, we sip now and then if we have to. That's okay.
Of course.
But the age thing, man, that's really got me intrigued because, we're going to talk about Pop real soon because I take my Pop to all the shows. And your Pop is a vital, and I do mean a very vital piece of the Rhode Island scene, man. And we're definitely going to get into that. But I'm going to tell you, my friend, very young age, your upcomings in the industry. And it has a lot to do with Dad being who he is. And he's kind of got you molded into that. Now, I don't think he was your trainer. We're going to dive into that too. By the way, this whole King COVID thing, King COVID, you said that. No, never mind. Are you okay? Because there's a lot of lights going on. Are you all right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just at my girlfriend's house, and I guess this is her setup right now. I think.
Oh, hey. Whatever, you know what? Whatever you and the girlfriend got going on, that's for a different time, a different show. But the Chop Shop, I want to talk about your upcomings because I am so intrigued with your career, sir. I love what you do in the ring. You've got some good polish right now in your early career. You look fantastic in the ring. You use your words very, you project your words. Again, I've only seen you as a heel, a bad guy, if you will. We're going to dive into that too. But you use your words well. You dress pretty snazzy for a wrestler. You come out with a very projected attitude. And it was like, I don't give a shit attitude back then. And please take us on a little journey. I am so intrigued. Oh, my God. I feel like I've been doing cocaine. I'm talking so much. I want you to talk to us. Take us a journey through your career because your dad's a vital part. Talk to us about that and your upcoming along.
The start, I don't know how to pinpoint it at one start because there's a couple different beginnings. Because like when RWA was just starting as a backyard promotion, as I don't know how many people may know now, that's where we got our start. I was doing stuff then, and I was only 5 at that time. But I think I first started taking it semi-seriously when I was about 11 years old. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with the Hollywood Balds? Cipriano Abruzzi and Chris Dozer. I don't know how I forgot his name. I love him so much.
Wow, you almost slipped Mr. Dozer's name, and yes, I am familiar with both.
Okay, good. So at the time, they were in a rivalry, and it was a constant game of one-upping each other. And Sip had this thing going on where he would take something that Dozer said and spin to his advantage. For example, he got Dozer had Cipriano Abruzzi banned from ringside. So myself, my little brother, and Cipriano Abruzzi come out to the ring playing Guitar Hero on the screen, and it was Sip banned from ringside. It was different things like that. He got barred from ringside, so he had an open bar with real alcohol and cash was exchanged. It was I don't know if he had his license, but I don't think it took off from there. So I guess that's all right. But to get to where I come into this, Sip said that he wanted that little punk in a no DQ match. So Dozer goes into the back and pulls out a young AJ Punk, me dressed up as CM Punk with the I think it was the white Best in the World t-shirt, and I had the wrists taped up, and oh my God, the way my dad talks about it, it makes it seem so much cooler than I remember it. But he's talking about how the roof came on food and everyone lost their minds, and of course it's just a small little gym in North Providence. It's not like a huge arena, but it's for a local wrestler. That's a really cool moment. That's a really cool moment. And it's not, I'm obviously not trying to say I don't appreciate that kind of experience that early on. I was 11 years old. Come on now, how many 11-year-olds get to come out and have a no disqualification wrestling match? And I believe I won too. How often does that happen? Maybe we're killing the business. Maybe it's just in my blood. But
wait, sir. But hold on, Pa Jose, real quick. Now you get into the ring. You're 11 years old. You have a fucking no disqualification match. How did you train to get into this match?
Okay, so when we got our first building for the ring, we had our own training sessions. I don't know how much of it came from, say, somebody like Brickhouse Baker, who's now my trainer, but like what I'm saying is I don't know how much from somebody that actually knew what they were doing, if you follow what I'm saying. So
I got you.
but I learned how to bump when I was 5 years old. I was running the ropes. I knew how to call spots. And I understood enough of wrestling at that age to be able to put into position. I'm sorry, I can't use my words correctly. To be put into positions where, oh my God, this kid's wrestling, and it's not terrible. It's not cringeworthy. It's like kind of awesome. And I guess I really don't think about it much now with how much I have going on in my life, but that was a really cool time for me as a person, because like in school, it's not like I was making a ton of friends or anything like that. I was the wrestling kid. I wasn't the weird kid. I wasn't the popular kid. I wasn't the athlete. I was the wrestling kid. And you know how that goes, I'm sure. But
wrestling, not everybody likes wrestling, and most people like kind of talk shit about wrestling. So you come in school and you're like, hey, I wrestle, and they're like, what the fuck is your problem? Kind of thing, right?
Pretty much, yeah. But that's why I gravitated so much towards wrestling then, because that was my family, that was my friends, that was everything I knew. But
that's cool.
When to take it back to the match, the no disqualification match, are you familiar with who Gino Giovanni is or was? He's kind of disappeared off the face of the planet now.
Giovanni sounds familiar, but I'm not that bright. I got like a 7 screws loose. So
that's why I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was an established name in the at least the New England scene. I'm not too familiar with my history as probably I should be, but I know he had a name for himself, and it turns out we're actually like cousins, like really distant cousins, but that's another story for another time. Gino Giovanni saw this match and saw me and what I was doing, so he cuts a promo on me, and so naturally I would cut one back, and now here's 11-year-old AJ Punk wrestling former Ring of Honor star Gino Giovanni. And I don't know that he was a regular, but if you're there once, that's on every poster you're booked on for the rest of your career. ROH star.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you make it that far, you definitely deserve to have that attached to your name. And so I think he brought in his arch nemesis, Freight Train, who I know there's a couple different Freight Trains on the scene now, so I'm not going to say that it was anybody you're familiar with. And
I just had a Freight Train on here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there was the handicap match there, and we did the whole, little kid gets the whole big win, whatever. But from there, that's where I kind of stopped with wrestling. Like I did a couple more little things here and there, but I don't know. I just took a step away from it. I wasn't really going to my dad's shows anymore or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, I just started going again. And we had secret shows at the time. So we would, beyond wrestling, was still running shows out of FET. So they would do secret shows at the First Chop Shop in Providence. And it was like literally a 3-minute walk away. That's how close it was. And they would do secret shows there, and like maybe a couple hours before they would do the big show at FET. But I guess I don't know if we modeled ourselves after that or if we had already been doing them, but we would do our own secret shows, but they were, actually secret because we didn't have any fans there. And they would basically be scrimmage matches. We'd record them to watch back and just critique as a group and learn from. And it could be matches, upcoming shows. It could be matches that have already happened. It could have been, in some cases, it was me. And I remember my first one was against Jammin' Jack Connor. My first time like getting back into the ring after stepping away for a little while. And I ended up forgetting everything. And I went for I think it was a jackknife pin. And no, he went for a jackknife pin. And I dislocated my wrist. So in my first semi-legit match, I'm injured. And it's the only injury I've ever had in the ring. The only one that I've ever gone to a doctor for anyway. So I did a couple more things like that. We did like birthday shows and stuff, and I was learning a lot and picking up a lot of much needed experience. But the benefit to that was I was being in battle royals where I was just getting chopped and not really learning anything. Like you might notice with a lot of younger wrestlers that come up through different schools in the area, and this is not to knock anyone, and that's why I'm not naming anybody by name, because it's a little bit of everybody. It's even Brickhouse's school does it. When you get your start, your first match is usually a battle royal, and that wasn't the case for me. And that's how I learn so much quicker than everybody else, because not only am I sitting there watching what everybody's doing right and wrong and then learning from that, I'm also doing it myself and replicating what they're doing, or maybe what CM Punk's doing, whatever, but I'm still learning and doing it well enough to impress a crowd. And I kept doing different things like the secret shows and the birthday shows, and eventually it got to a point where I was like, all right, Dad, I want to take this seriously. I want to wrestle. And he started putting me on more shows. I had a program with Tom Billington, Dick Lane, and also towards the end it was Isana as well. They had their trio of terror there, because in wrestling canon, Isana and Tom Billington are brother and sister. And I mean, they're close enough. They might as well be blood at this point. And then Dick Lane was still, I don't know if Dick Lane was a year in yet, but he was still very new. And God, I wrestled Dick Lane so many times. He was like my first actual rival. I learned a lot from him. And very early on in his career, he was able to carry a 13-year-old through a wrestling match. So what I'm saying right now, for anybody listening, for anybody that at all that needs to know, Dick Lane is the man. Dick Lane is such a good wrestler, and was such a good wrestler so early on, and is so underrated, and such a big part of my.
Yeah, because and I don't mean to interrupt, and I know, and I'm going to assume a big part of your career and what have you, Mr. AJP. I love Dick Lane from the fucking second I met the guy. Big character, good in the ring, and he can do anything, and he can make us do anything like that and get us engaged at any point of any match. And that's why I really love that guy. Very underrated. A lot of people think he's just all gimmick and no wrestle. Fucking son of a bitch! If that guy can't go in the ring, he can do whatever
people
you
are
want.
Starting to come around to him. Yeah. I think more and more. I think more people are starting to come around to him because he's really, really putting in a lot of good performances. I can't remember the last time I saw him have a bad match, and even if he thought it was a bad match, it wasn't bad. He does cool stuff all the time, and definitely somebody that deserves the world.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're fine.
I heard, yeah, Dick Lane, man, that gets my blood going a little bit because holy fuck, it's Dick Lane. You know,
gets you excited.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not knocking you at all, man. I'm just asking.
Hey, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I like that. I mean, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I am not getting into that because I don't want that to be what this is about at all. But
no,
I am not at all trying to make a homophobic joke. That's the word. At all. That was not what I meant to say at all. Just
Fucking,
want to
I
I want
enjoy
I
Dick.
want to
Holy
I want to
cow.
nail that into the ground because I am a very big supporter of that community.
No.
Let's move on. Let's
Okay.
move on before I
Yeah.
ramble too much. Where was I with the whole journey of wrestling?
Uh, the matches with Dick Lane, it gave you
Yes,
a big
yes,
sense of in your career.
yeah, and then so this is I don't know how well documented this is, but there was a period of time where JT Dunn was the booker for RWA, and during that period of time, I was not. I think I may have had one match, but I wasn't on the show, and I am not at all complaining about that. I completely understand it. His vision for RWA was something more comparable to. I don't want to name names. Something more comparable to your typical indie show with this name and this name and this name, and not so much the people that have been there since the beginning who may not be so polished or so well known, but that's our people, and that's what RWA is about. So we kind of got away from where, I guess, from our original direction. I'm not trying to say anything negative about it. I'm just saying that
No.
it was a
Yeah.
totally different direction that didn't include him.
Exactly.
So that period of time, I stopped wrestling again. And then that's towards the end of that, my dad took it back, but we lost that chop shop. So we stopped running shows. And then we got the second chop shop. And around that time, that's when I started wrestling. Like, seriously, I had my own gear. Oh, wow. I totally skipped over the shows we did at the XWA Event Center. We did a Thanksgiving Throwdown, and we did a night of appreciation, and that's where I debuted my real wrestling gear, my half pink, half black ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a tag team Grand Prix kind of deal. It was and it was me and my dad, which that was pretty cool. And I got the second chop shop, and I started tagging at the time Todd Harris, and that's where I started being a heel. And our deal was that we were entitled. The entitled gimmick, I guess you could call it, came from that tag team, and I'm not trying to say that it was something I just bit off and did better, because it's not. It was just something that I ended up adopting because that was more of something that I needed at the time, where his Todd Harris, now BRG, had his own thing going. So we only did a couple. We did one tag match versus the Mac Attack, and then and I wasn't very happy with it, and of course I wasn't very happy with much of what I did at the time. But I was obviously learning more, and then when Todd Harris stopped wrestling there, I just kept working on my solo career and picking up steam as the entitled AJ Phoenix, and as I was when I was 11 or 13, a lot of it was, okay, wow, this kid's young and he's semi-decent. That's pretty cool. And that's where I would get a reaction. But it was out of one building. It's not like I was wrestling and making the towns and making merch and all that. Like, I was just doing my thing here in this small box. Not because at the time RWA, I think we had a high point a couple of years prior, and then we kind of plateaued a little bit. If I could get into statistics, math, or something, and then we kind of dipped down a little bit when we lost the building. Then we started picking up momentum again, and I guess I kind of picked up momentum with RWA as our audience grew. I grew as a wrestler, and that became part of my identity. And it's a big part of me now, and that is the chop shop, and the people that come to those shows, and the people that wrestle on those shows, even if it's not the same match as me, even if I'm not on that show, all of those people I feel like I represent. And so I keep all of that in mind every single time I go to the ring or cut a promo or anything. Like I truly feel like I am the prodigal son, and not to place any kind of importance on myself or to say I'm some super great wrestler, but I am, you know, just the culmination of everybody else's hard work, because they're all getting up in age at some point soon, if not already. But I'm 18 years old. So in a couple of years, it's going to be me carrying on what they've put into the I can't talk, man. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
No,
The
no,
foundation
that's
that they've
okay.
laid. The
That's quite all
foundation that
right.
they've laid. Yeah. The foundation that they've laid. That's the phrase I was looking for. No matter how far they've gone, I mean, a lot of them are still a lot better than me, but I hope to one day not only be as good, but surpass them. I think I got off track there.
That's okay.
And I don't want to surpass them out of any kind of like egotistical like
No.
desire to be better than everybody. It's just I want to be the best, and I want everybody to be proud of me at the same time.
And you talk about that representation, and that's a big thing in Tessa Strength Wrestling that's down in my way in East Hartford, Connecticut. Slick Wagner.
I so need to wrestle there.
Oh, dude, you so do. Slick Wagner, he runs a show down there, and he teaches the Kowalski way. And I am telling you, man, it's that thing. It's a representation. When you go from company to company, and I'm gonna mention a guy named T.J. Howell. He came out that way, and you guys, man, you were kind of in that same wavelength of the entitlement, if you will, and it was really cool to see him go out.
Right?
Yeah, the privilege, yeah. And it was cool to see you guys kind of do a little something out there. But now him and Ryan Frost, they go out as Cold Cash. A lot of fun. Love those guys. But that's what I'm saying, though. It's the representation, like you're saying. You're not just representing yourself. It's the company. It's your dad. It's all the culmination of everybody that's helped you become the wrestler that you are today in such a young career, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. And like that representation doesn't just stick when I'm in the chop shop being, you know, the prince, as I call myself, coming out to, you know, Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home, like really trying to play up that home field, you know, adoration that I'm looking for. I don't know, but I guess home field advantage is what it's called, but I'm at the words again. Man, I probably should have took a nap before this. Man, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. What was I just talking about?
Well, we were talking about the culmination of your career with the help of all of the men and women at the chop shop.
Okay, the representation goes to places like XWA, where like, and that's kind of the next phase of my career from what I was talking about before. Like, I'm not to skip over a big part of it. We'll go back.
No, that's okay.
With XWA, I don't try to carry myself like a complete rebel. Like, you know, I wasn't built by XWA. I didn't train with the Kingdom. Like, that's not how I go about it. Probably should and be over as fuck. I'm just saying. But the way I present it is, okay, yeah, I'm different, but it's cool, right? Like we can all come up different ways and succeed with it. And that's kind of what I like about XWA, because I'm not the only one doing that. We have a couple different people from a couple different schools, like TJ and as you said, Cold Cash, that's what it is. Cold Cash is a different team that did it first. But yeah, Cold Cash is there. A couple different teams. Well, forget the name. One of my favorites is Waller. I don't know. I don't want to. Waller, Flash Waller.
Yeah, Flash Waller.
I wanted to say Wall-E, but that's just because that's one of my favorite Disney movies. And I never forgot. Yeah, Flash Waller is one of the better ones out of all the different people that come from different schools. I believe he comes from, what is it, PAPW? And their school, am I correct on that?
Sure.
He's definitely one to look out for. And then at the same time, you have all these different schools, but then you also have XWA school, and now you have a team like Waves and Curls who are fresh out of their school and already just doing everything. And it's awesome. I'm so happy for everything they're doing. But to go back to what I was saying, the whole it's kind of like a not to say dojo war because that's CZW, but it's kind of school versus school. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm Brickhouse's school with the Chop Shop, and then you get TJ Howell and his crew from Test of Strength, and then you have Flash from PAPW, and then they have whoever from wherever. I'm pretty sure Kellen's trained with Steve Ricard, I want to say, or I'm sure he trained with a bunch of different people, but that's who I believe he trained with, and he's one of the staples there. But that's one of my favorite things about there. Like, you can represent who you are and at the same time make it part of what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
like each part of your character. It's like, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out how to make my character stand out more. And the more I think about it, the more I realize it's everything I've done already. It's not something I need to create. It's not something I need to like just will into existence. I'm not Thanos. I don't have magic powers. I'm totally going off track with everything I'm saying because I just have so much I want to say. I don't never get to do podcasts or anything. I've done two. I did Work Into a Shoot, and then I did the Nerds of Wrestling. I think it's What's Up Wrestler.
Yeah, with Justin Del Rio.
Yeah, I was like the second one. I'm a trailblazer. But
yeah, but you know what? These things, Mr. Phoenix, that's what kind of gets you in a different element, a different part of wrestling, because there's so many different parts that make up a wrestler. And doing this kind of hanging out, talking about yourself, talking about your career, you think of so many things that you want to say and all. That's why I don't write shit down, if you noticed.
Yeah.
Because we just kind of go off the seam of our ass. We just have fun with whatever's going on. And that's all it is, Because now it's like I've only known you a little bit, for a couple of years, but I only know you a little bit. And now we've got new fans checking you out. And what you were talking about is that, you didn't have to change anything. Do what you're doing. You've got some cool gear. You've got a good look. You've got a good attitude.
Have you seen the new black and red gear?
I have from a distance, so on the face page, not in person, because I haven't been out that way in a while.
That's right. As soon as this is over, I don't care what show it is, I'm buying you a ticket. You have to be there. You have to be there. You have to be there.
I'll do it, dude. I'll be there, man. That's awesome.
Good. Okay.
I swear.
AJP officially so desperate for fans, he's buying their tickets. That's such a Vince McMahon.
Oh my God. No, dude. No, that's the shit we love, man. This kind of fun, going to shows and just getting away from shit. That's what wrestling is, man. We kind of get away from our stuff. We have a lot of fun. I go home, I'm talking with my dad on the way home, and we just jaw about the fun times we had at the show. And it's vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys, and I know you're probably not that far away from home, but, later on, you guys must talk a lot about what happens during the events and really start, like, thinking about, and you're like, man, remember this and blah, 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 and all of this, you guys must
that's like my favorite part of wrestling is everything outside of it, everything before and after, the camaraderie of the locker room. Like that's why I haven't made so many moves to try to get out to these bigger places, because I kind of like being around all my friends and everything I've ever known and having all these cool stories that everybody might already know. And it's just funny to sit back and laugh about. And you mentioned going back from shows and talking about them with your dad. That's funny you mentioned that because, my dad's into wrestling too. I don't know if you knew. And now that I have my own car and I'm 18 and I'm basically out the nest at this point, I have one foot out the door. We don't really get to as much anymore, but we used to. whenever there was a show, he was obviously my ride. So driving back, we would always talk about everything that happened. And I think my favorite period of time to do that was back at the original Chop Shop when I was still kind of dipping my toes into it. But mostly watching from afar, because I was usually recording on hard cam and being part of the audience. So I saw everything, and that's something I kind of miss now that I'm getting older, and times change, everything changes, and you wish they could stay the same, but obviously that's not how life works. But I definitely miss like driving back, because we at the time we were living in Tiverton by then. So driving back from Providence to Tiverton, obviously there's plenty of time to chat, go to Olneyville, New York system in literally 2 seconds away, just like that, and just shooting the shit. And that's where I learned a lot of what I know now. And it's not necessarily him telling me different things that I didn't already know. It's just reflecting on what I already saw. That's how you would learn the most. Like, that's why teachers give homework. Like, you can learn all this in school, but then you go home and reflect on it and you apply it and you realize, oh, okay, that makes sense. Maybe I need to do this in order to get this reaction or whatever. And I don't think I would be the wrestler I am today if it wasn't for talks like that with him or with anybody. Like, I love going for a drive with one of my boys or with my dad or with Brickhouse or whoever and just talking about wrestling. Like, that's been such a big part of my life for longer than I can remember, and
as you've told us, and being in the business your entire life, take all the physical part out, take the attire out, take all of the move set and all of that, take everything away except for one thing: psychology. One of the very most important elements of being a wrestler and all parts of wrestling. You, my friend, have had such a great jump on that because you're young. You're not jumping in the ring and doing these things, but you watching things that you like and that you can see that work and don't work over time as you're growing up. Man, oh man, that has got to be something special to have all of that gift over that course of time, because the psychology part you see, and you're shaking your head the whole time we're talking about that. Huge advantage, my friend.
I agree, and I'm very careful with how I word it when I talk positively about myself, because I never want to egotistical or rude or like that. Like, my goal at the end of the day with wrestling is for everybody to know that I am the best human being in the business. I don't have to be the best wrestler for my in-ring skills, for my promos, for anything. As long as I'm the best person, that's all I care about. But with that advantage with psychology, I don't think it really started showing itself until the last couple of years, because at first I was worried about, okay, I need what are we doing? What moves are we doing, and where do I need to be? That is how it goes when you first breaking into the business. You just think, okay, I need to do this spot, and I need to do this spot, and I need to do this spot. In the whole process of doing that, you are then making yourself breathe harder, because not only are you running around, you're throwing yourself not throwing yourself at the ground, you're getting slammed on the ground, right? And on top of that, you're trying to think of 10 million things. You're trying to remember what arm you're supposed to use to do which thing, where, like, how you're supposed to react, which camera to look at. Like, so much goes into that, and it can show in your performances, and it can take away from your reception of it. Is that the word I'm looking for? Reception? Maybe.
Perception.
Words. Perception.
That's okay.
I guess maybe. Because I'm thinking, like, in terms of how much you take from it. Like,
okay, I got you.
If you're focusing so much on, I guess interpretation would be the word. If you're focusing so much on what you're doing, you don't really think about how you're doing it, why you're doing it. And that's something that it takes that just takes experience. You're never going to get that from training. You need to have bad matches or semi-decent matches and watch them back and hate them and just and really pick it apart, because that's the only way you're going to ever have anything you enjoy is picking it apart and hating it. In my opinion, I don't think it's a very, very healthy way of thinking about it, but that's how I look at it. And now I'm getting to a point where I've had a lot of matches where maybe a small piece of it was changed beforehand. You don't get to plan for that. That's a big piece of working at XWA, because I'm not going to say everything's last minute, but a lot of it is very
on the fly.
Everything's written in pencil, we'll say. Nothing's printed or inked out. Nothing. It's written in pencil, because it can change at any second. I've had a couple different matches where I was wrestling one person, and then in 2 seconds I was wrestling three, and you're out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Or maybe you're in a situation where there's a pre-show now, which I didn't know about, and now you're on first on the pre-show. Then there's one match after you. Then you're first on the real show. And I as much as I may have been like worried about it at the time or come out of it blown up and upset about my performance, that's where I learned the most, because now I'm finding that I have more of that instinct in the maybe I performances very very much with a modern style, very much move, you do moves, I'll do moves. It's not so much it's not so fluid, and there's not so much actual ground wrestling in what I do, and that's something that I'm going to work on very much when when the world isn't falling apart, of course. I'm gonna stop with talking about that. I'm losing my train of thought again. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel like this whole performance or this chat makes me look like I'm an idiot.
No, man.
I feel like I feel like I'm looking scattered, so I apologize.
No, not at all. You're just giving us. This is what we like: raw emotion. That's what this is all about, man. This is no script again. No script, no bullshit. This is just fine. Don't you even worry, none, man.
All right, man. Okay, as long as you say so.
Yeah, because we don't.
Like we were just saying, like I keep thinking of so many more things like that I just haven't thought about in so long. Like I could probably start my own podcast and have enough content for the next year off of what I've done already, which compared to a lot of people isn't much, but it's enough.
Enough.
And,
so you were talking about how you have to develop that thing about where it's not that tunnel vision where you wrist lock, but it's like this, and now what I'm gonna do next, I gotta make sure I'm safe and all of that. Also, it's part of that, but the other part of that is hearing us and reacting to us and utilizing it to your character. Have you kind of gained any of that? Because now your character has evolved into something different that I'm not used to. And man, the crowd is going crazy for you nowadays. How long has it? Well, for the most part, because hey, Mr. Montero said you got way bigger pop than he did when you guys came to head to each other. So, it is what it is.
True. The people wanted AJP that night, man. People wanted AJP. Whole outlook on wrestling definitely changed big time when I had to start working babyface. And I guess I'm being kind of insider about how I'm talking, and I apologize for that if somebody watching and they didn't know. Rest slightly in the fix, just slightly. As far as the whole change goes, like when you're a heel and you're a bad guy, when you don't like the crowd, it's kind of easier in a sense that you control the pace of the match. If you're lost, all you have to do is hit them with a big move. They stop moving. You just find your footing again and get back into it. And it's also a lot better because you get to have more attitude in that sense, and at least in a traditional format. Like today with modern wrestling, a lot of the lines are blurred and there's more gray area. So I can't say I'm speaking for that, but in a traditional sense, when you're the bad guy, it's just easier. And to then go from saying, all right, screw you, don't clap for me, you would say, all right, cool, what's going on, guys? And that's easier when you're in your hometown and everybody already adores you for what you're doing as a person. So then now you're trying to be a bad guy and everybody's impressed by what you're doing because look at this 16-year-old kid, look at this 17-year-old kid doing what I was doing. And again, not to say it was 5-star performances, 6 stars in Japan, nothing like that. It just was what it was. It was impressive enough. And how many other 16, 17-year-olds at the time in that area were doing anything other than training in battle royals?
Right.
Which again, that's something I'm very proud of. I didn't have to come up that way. So to make that transition, I now have to think about not just what I'm doing and what my opponent's doing, because when you can kind of block out the audience in that sense, you shouldn't. You should always be reacting and pulling from them, and which I always did, but you don't have to as much. It's not as emotionally driven when you're in that position because you are just trying to win at any cost possible, or not at any cost possible. Is that man? Whatever it takes is what it takes. Can't, man. I'm sorry again.
But as a baby face,
as a good guy, it's now you're fighting for everybody. You're not just fighting for yourself. If you're going for the championship belt, everybody's going for the championship belt. At least that's how you're supposed to have it. If you're not good at it and you don't get the audience to care, then your whole act is gone. And then they don't like you, which means they boo you, and you're the good guy. You're supposed to be getting cheered. But when you're the bad guy, if you suck, you can still get what you're looking for. You know what I mean? It's a win-win in that sense.
Yeah.
But then because when you wrestle different on each side of the ball, like when you're the heel, you control, like I said, you control the pace, and you probably give most of the offense, but it's not as flashy and it's not as impactful, and you have to cheat. But when you're the good guy, you have to be fighting all the time. You can't stay on your back. You need to stay alive. You have to keep the audience caring about you, and not die in the process, because the bad guy is here trying to destroy you. You kind of need to win the fight. You know what I mean? In any fight ever, you don't want to stay down, right? So that takes more energy out of you to do. And I've never been big on cardio. Like anytime I've ever really worked out, it was always anything. And then that's not smart. I should be doing more, and I am now, but at the time I wasn't. So now here I am getting blown up at times where I wasn't before, and that's also another situation where you learn a lot, because now you're running on pure instinct as a human being, never mind as a wrestler. So you have to figure out how you're going to breathe and how you're going to get this match over with. And when you're doing it that way, that's how you're supposed to be thinking about it the whole time anyway. You're supposed to be thinking about positioning and looking for your spot to breathe, which you don't necessarily do with that tunnel vision. With that tunnel vision, you're only thinking about where you're supposed to be. You're not thinking about, all right, I can do this. I can take a second to breathe, and we'll mosey on over here, and we'll get back to it. You don't think about the very opportunity. But when you're about to throw up, That's all it is. and I still have some matches like that. But I mean, I'm 18. Give me 1-2 more years, and I promise you, best wrestler ever.
Now, obviously, you've only been to a couple places so far. We talk about hometown, home base, if you will. Now, moving further from that, is that something you're definitely looking to be interested in doing in your career, to further that, to get to a different platform? Or are you interested in, being that hometown hero kind of guy right now?
It's a little bit of both. In my real life, I'm very blessed with the opportunities I've had with school, and just I've taken advantage of every avenue I could to not necessarily cut corners in a sense that I was slacking, but in a sense that I was doing more work to get ahead further. So now I'm in a position where I'm in college. So my senior year at school just got wrapped up because of the whole coronavirus situation. I don't know if I just got you demonetized on YouTube, but I'm sorry for saying
That's
that.
okay. We call it the Kincovid. The Kincovid is fine.
The COVID. Okay, I got you. Where was I going with that?
We were talking about
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay, yeah. I just had to think out a word again. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I'm tired.
That's okay.
And if I say sorry one more time, I may just hang up on you. Yeah, with school, I'm in college early, and I'll be out of community college for free a year earlier than everybody else, which means now not only do I look impressive enough to get scholarships to a 4-year school, which is my plan, I also can just start getting a job right there and be making big money in that sense. So what I'm saying is, yes, I would absolutely love to be touring the world and tearing it up with the best wrestlers and just making everybody's come true. It's not to say everybody, but everybody that's ever told me, "Hey, kid, you're gonna be something special." Like, I want to make them proud and tell them, "Yeah, you're right, I made it." Because if I was to make it that far, I would think that I'd be the guy that didn't forget where he came from and always comes back to, spread the love. And you know what I mean. Like I said before, I want to be a good person, and I that's also why I'm trepidatious about stepping further, because I don't want to step on people's toes, if you will. Like, I obviously am very confrontational, and I could give a shit what people think. But the people I care about, I don't want to just go behind them and go behind their backs and do something that maybe I should talk to them about, or maybe something that I'm not ready for and I don't realize it yet. But I think the biggest thing right now would be that I need to further my training. And that's not to say that Brickhouse Baker is a bad trainer at all, because there are still things that I'm learning to this day. And I've been training with him for 2-3 years now. And absolutely incredible person, incredible wrestler in his day. And I need to learn different things. He's teaching me everything I need to know for his idea of wrestling, but I want to know what Matt Taven's idea of wrestling is. I want to know what Brian Myers' idea of wrestling is. I want to know what, say, Brian Fury's idea of wrestling is. Like, and I'm not saying that I'm going to go to all these different schools, but that's just something that's in the back of my mind. Like, I can do all of this, and that's really cool to all of these people. But then if I can do all of this and all of this, now I can do all of this, and nobody can touch me.
That's the thing we talk about a lot on here, is it's the big package. It's all of these little things that you add, all of the experience, all of the knowledge, hey, what's up, man? It's everything that really makes the package of wrestling, because we all know it's very, very hard to pursue a wrestling career. So when you're gaining, and I say this all the time, and it's not to slight anybody about the training, because like you said, what he perceives. This is the way I do things. Slick. This is the way I do things. XWA. These are the way we do things. And so forth and so on. So it's all of that, and you get to gain all of that experience and knowledge and be able to utilize it. And like you said, now I can take my character and do shit that I never even thought I could do with it.
Exactly. And that's something I need to do now more than ever, because now that I have turned 18, I feel like I'm going to lose a lot of the charm I had, because now it's not, oh my God, this kid's 17 and doing this. It's, okay, this kid's 18 years old. I've seen this many 18, 19-year-olds doing that too. And I don't want to fall into any kind of category as anybody else. I want to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that learning as many different things as possible is what sets you apart. Like, we were talking about BRG earlier. Like, he was training with the King, and he got really good. And then he started training at other places, and now he's learned more things. So now he's appealing to all these different crowds and learning all these different things. And now he's doing so many cool things that I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't expect of him, but it's not a surprise. It's just like, wow, that's really cool. I'm happy for you, man. I'm so happy for all my friends. Like, I don't have a ton of friends doing really cool things. Yes, I do. But I'm proud of all of them for everything.
I've seen a lot of men and women on their upcomings, and I'm talking like day one. When I was up in Rhode Island very often, I'm seeing guys like Mike Sumo, not even like he's just a brand spanking new student. Yes. Watching him come up, Mr. Phoenix, has been amazing.
I don't follow wrestling as much as I should, but he's one of the people I've kept up with, at least from a distance, on social media. I mean, I follow him on Instagram. I'm pretty sure I have him on Facebook, and he's another one of those people, like I was saying before, had a lot of cool opportunities. And as somebody that knows they're not in the position to be there just yet, it's like, all right, I'm happy for you, And he was, when I knew him, he was a really, really nice guy. And I know I use a lot of basic words to describe the same things, but no, he was such a class act. You could see he wanted it then, and just like I said, such a great dude.
Mm. Now, I know we're coming to the...
I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah. Sorry. Continue.
No, that's fine. Mike Sumo, I always mess it up. The American Sumo, Mike Gamble.
I knew you, man. I wasn't going to correct you.
Very nice in it. Well, not in the ring. He's a monster in the ring. Outside the ring, though, if you ever get a chance to talk to Mr. Sumo, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in the business, I swear. Very little soft-spoken. Yeah, absolutely. Now, we are coming to the tail end of a nightcap, if you will. We've been talking a lot of wrestling. We touched upon Dad a little bit, and I know we didn't touch upon a lot of stuff because I leave some stuff out, because I hope down in the future, the near future, I can get a follow-up with one Mr. AJP, if that's a possibility.
Absolutely not.
Oh, come on.
I never want to do this again.
Oh.
Of course, dude. You let me know. We'll do another one tomorrow if you want to.
Dude, hey, I might take you up on that offer. You never know what could happen. So I'd like to talk a couple things before I do let you go, though. And I know they're kind of AJP related. One is. The other one, not so AJP related. Coach C, what's up with this effing kid over there?
Oh, Coach C. Well, so I know he's been bugging me because I was a topic on his, so now he wants to be a topic on mine, and I know that's why I give him a lot of shit, and we all do, but at the end of the day, that kid is a lot more dedicated than a lot of the wrestlers in the back. Some people that have been doing it for as long as I've been alive, some people that have been doing it for a couple of years. And give him a little bit more time to, grow up and not be a kid like I was. And like, that's another thing. I see a lot of younger me in him, even though he's not wrestling, he's managing, which yet another thing, he's managing. That's a big missing art in wrestling. But now that I've said all these nice things about him, let's push that aside. And I'm just going to say Fortnite is the worst video game ever. And if he asks me to play Fortnite one more time, I may just have to drag him into the ring.
I'm glad I don't know that backstory. Sounds very annoying.
No, I am just playing. But I'm not playing is my point, because Fortnite. I think it's just a couple Facebook posts he's made or that I've commented on, and he references it, or he'll message me and say, "Hey, you should play Fortnite." It amazes. He took literally nothing and made it into what he has now, which has enough steam. Like, people know who Coach C is. Like, that's the crazy part. People know who he is.
I'm in effing Connecticut and I know who the kid is. Like, how the hell did that even happen?
Exactly. Like, and he has a presence. He has an internet presence. He has charisma. And he's watched so much that he understands how to translate that himself. And that kid.
Watch out for Coach C.
Yeah, seriously. But you've been to Wrestle Party shows, correct?
I've never been to one, and I was supposed to go to the very first one when it was originally called Live Prov, and I was supposed to go to the one after that and the one after that, and I never made it to a Wrestle Party show.
Okay, well, so Live Prov was cool, but Wrestle Party is so much cooler. And in this, we'll say satirical universe, it is. So maybe somebody like me comes in and they do their normal shtick, but then Kellen Thomas is Coach K, and he's managing Channing Thomas, Timmy Thunder, and that's where Coach C's character comes from. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I know he dressed up in the whole thing. I think he did it for Halloween, and he took it so seriously. Like, I'm Coach C. You'll do laps or whatever. And it's just because we all thought his costume was cool, so he was like, attention, give me more of that. And you know what? Good for him, because he's good at getting it.
Dude, the kid he's got so much like in him to give to wrestling. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah. And like, I've been to a couple. So at the Chop Shop, as you are probably aware, there's like 3 different tiers of shows that take place there from different companies. And there are some lower tier shows that have happened that he's been a part of that were probably where he was probably the best part of the whole show. and I mean that, like, and I can't say that it was all terrible, and I'm not trying to say it was all bad, because I don't want to offend those people. They're all cool people, but I hope they know that it's, never mind. I know one of them, my friend Coach Will, who trains with Brickhouse and is actually really, really good, and I wish he was given more opportunities. I wish he took more opportunities, that is. Coach Will and him, 2 big parts of those shows that I want, if somebody's listening to this that isn't already familiar with Coach C or Coach Will, they should be. And they have had a pretty spectacular feud in RICW over the whole Coach deal, and I think that is just great. Like, you'll see Coach C rebbing on him on Facebook. You belong in stripes, you zebra. And Coach Will is like one of those like natural funnies, but at the same time he's not over the top funny. He's like Kurt Angle. He had that subtle like comedy about it. Kurt Angle was over the top at sometimes, but that Stone Cold Steve Austin heel era, whatever. I need to go to bed soon. This is going on too late.
I'm sorry to keep you up past your bedtime.
No.
I apologize.
Now you're.
Oh, well,
We're
no
never
way.
doing another one of these again. I am a man now. I have my own razor and everything.
I have my own razor. Oh God. Uh, if I didn't ask you about this whole Young Guns with Mr. Jamie Tucker and company, I would really be remiss. So
Yes, you would.
before I do let you go, I would love to speak about this whole Young Guns thing you got going on.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I would have if you hadn't. Because the people need to know. They have to help them Young Guns. We are here spreading the good word of them Young Guns. So now that I've got the shtick out of the way, I've told the story on I think both of the podcasts I've done, and I'm not going to get into it again, but just because it's redundant, it's nothing spectacular. But me, Hot Shot Deshaun, Jamie Tucker, Harry Brooks, and Justin Coco Sylvia, all of us very close in age. I'm the youngest, Jamie's the oldest, and everybody else falls in between somewhere. And so Coco is not involved at all anymore. He took his ball and went home. And I guess I shouldn't say it that way. He has, a very legit, just lack of desire for it, and that's okay. It's not for everybody, and you shouldn't do it if you don't want to. I know he had a lot going on personally, so I'm not going to drag it out. I hope he's doing well, but I haven't talked to him in a long time. But he was one of the founding members of the Young Guns. When I was coming up and really starting to get some steam because I was training with Brickhouse and actually learning how to wrestle, Coco started as well. And I had found him in a backyard wrestling company. And I'm not going to say I found him and I wasn't a part of it, but that's, again, another story for a second episode. And we trained together, and then Teach put us in a feud together, and that's where we learned. We got a lot going for ourselves because we were both very close in experience. Obviously, me having the edge from what I'd done previously, but that's where we really got. That's where we really built our friendship. And then Deshaun started training, and so they became a tag team. But we all we were starting to click, pun intended. I did this. And Jamie had already been wrestling for a couple of years before then. I say a couple, he was probably doing it for a while. And Justin and Coco are the same person. We already established that, but I'm reiterating it in case you missed it. Justin and Jamie had known each other when Justin was running shows out of his backyard. Jamie and Little Daddy Bravo actually went there and showed them wrestling moves and stuff. And at the time, Jamie and LDB weren't as good as they are now. Jamie is obviously leagues better because he's my partner, and I have to say that. But they knew each other, so they were already friends. And then I was friends with them, so now we're all friends. And then we had already kind of started coming closer as friends, and Harry Brooks had started training. So he kind of joined the group. So yeah, we're all the young boys. We're obviously the freshest out of high school out of everybody. So we have the closest mentality to that. So we gravitate towards each other. We click, and it's like, high school lunch all over again. Which I say that, but my high school year, career just ended. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm totally getting on again, man. I apologize. But it was a slow culmination of some of us train, some of us wrestle, then all of us wrestle, all of us train. And about Legacy 2018 or 19, it was 19. Yeah. We were probably the closest we had been. Yeah, we were definitely the closest we had been, but I'm totally making this out to be some kind of like fan fiction, and it's not. It's not gay. It's Young Guns. I have to make that clear. That's one of our gay gimmicks. It'll be on a T-shirt soon. But they were all. So it was the four of them in a scramble match with Jam and Jack Connor, and I was in the match with Kellen Thomas, and all of us put in killer performances that night, and we were labeled the Young Guns of the RWA. And the different ideas were thrown around about like a Young Guns division, a Young Guns Cup, which has now manifested itself in the Brick House Cup, which is really cool that the Young Guns have a big part in that. Coco stepped away, so now it's just the four of us. But we've gotten to a point where we're starting to find our groove as a team. And the cool thing about it is we all do separate things, but we still represent the Young Guns. And I'm so happy to have that, because like I've one of the things I feel like my character always needed was that like loyalty, like not so much where I came from with RWA, but like you see the Bullet Club and people gravitate towards something like that because it's cool. People want to be part of that club, right? So that's what I wanted from the Young Guns, is to have that kind of effect. Not to say we're the Bullet Club, because we're not, but that's where the whole hand sign comes from. Which actually isn't the first one I came up with. I think I did this or something first. Like I wanted this to be the Y, and it was separate. I don't know if I did this or if somebody else did it, but it's Young Guns. And we've had a couple different tag combinations of the tag team. I think Jamie and Deshaun, or me and Jamie, have had the most outings as the Young Guns. And Harry Brooks is like the unacknowledged, like, go away, you're the bad guy, get away from us. Like we pretend he's not one of us, but he is, but he's not. I'm very excited about where the future will take that, because there's just so much room for all different kinds of skits and different things because of the the young nature of it. Like I think that's what people like the most in wrestling, is stuff that is very realistic, and we're all a bunch of young kids acting like a bunch of idiots, yelling and saying the same stuff over and over again, but that's what catches on, is the dumbest stuff. Like
I can't.
The most realistic. Like that's the most true to life. We're all a bunch of idiots that wrestle. It's great.
Exactly. I can't wait to see, the future of this clique, if you will, the future of this clique going on. I can't do that. My hands, they cramp up a little bit. I got a few years over you. But this says so, and this says so as well, sir. But the Young Guns, I can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys as a faction. And I love to use the word faction in wrestling, because that's what you guys are right now. And I can't wait to see how each of you feed off of each other and really elevate each other from here on out after we get over this shit,
100%. I've had so many good matches against Deshaun. I've had a couple good ones against Phil. I don't know who Phil is. I meant to say Harry Brooks. I've had a bunch of good matches. No, not a bunch. It's Amy and against him. And that's what another big thing I love about us. We can all have good matches against each other and with each other, which is just a wicked exciting. Like, we could have probably 20 different combinations of matches between the four of us on a whole show against each other. But that, you know what I mean? That's the content I'm looking for, and this may be the time to do it.
Wow.
So you've heard it here first, folks. Some Young Guns content in the near future.
Again, looking forward to that. So
I'll stop talking now, I promise.
No, really. This is a fucking show about learning about wrestlers. Why would I want you to stop talking?
Because it's late.
Well, if anybody's probably annoyed of this whole thing, it's probably your girlfriend. The light is still going off crazy. She's like, "What the fuck? Are
Yeah,
you guys done yet?"
she's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
annoyed. She's not letting
Oh yeah.
on, but I
No.
can tell. You know how females can be. I love you.
AJ Phoenix, this has been exactly how I wanted this whole thing to go. You've been open, sharing with the fans, very informational. We talked about your career. We talked about many things. We talked wrestling. We talked Young Guns. We talked Coach C. We talked a lot of stuff, man. And I've got to give it to you. I am so happy for you, seeing you come up so young, and I can't wait to see where your career goes, because, man, if it ain't on TV in the future, I would be so pissed off, because, man, you've got some of that good shit that you can take and really make it happen. So you keep doing your thing. Don't stop doing it, man, because we're going to see AJP on TV. AJP on TV. So that would be really cool.
Well, thank you very much, my friend. That means the world to me. I really genuinely appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I hope I make you proud.
Dude, you make yourself proud. You make your pop proud. That's all that should matter right now, because your pop is a big influence. T Phoenix, man, you've done right. I can't wait to see what happens with all of this thing going on. This is starting to pop before she kicks his ass and my ass. This is starting to pop with Tom Kincaid. And my very special guest, AJ Phoenix. My man, thank you so much for spending the time with us. Spending the time with us and the fans, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. The pleasure was all mine.